Hi everybody, welcome to a new episode of Crowd Resilience TV. Today with Dr. Richard Urso. He came to Vienna for the Better Way conference. Thank you so much that you gave us so much of your precious time and came to Vienna to be part of the Better Way conference. And it's an honor to speak with you personally today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be in Vienna. It's my first time, actually.
Great.
I was in many times in Munich, and I just never made it over here. So I'm really glad to be here and really excited.
Super. So we just had this little time frame. That was when I was organizing this whole event here. I had like 6 weeks because we said we have presidential elections in the beginning of October, and we don't know what they will do for the upcoming autumn-winter season. So we said we need to do this in September. So probably otherwise there would be restrictions and would not be so easy anymore to travel to Austria again. So I'm very happy that friends from America made it over here. It's just amazing that you're here in person. And as I told you before, I always ask my interview partners because there's so much great content from you online and videos. And of course, you please introduce yourself shortly, like you're a co-founder of America's Frontline Doctors. Then you are part of the Global COVID Summit and be there with my great steering committee colleague, Katharina Lindley. Who I just love from the bottom of my heart. She is so beautiful, and so a short introduction on what you are doing, because probably not so many listeners know you from Austria or from the German-speaking world, and then comes the question of the questions: what makes you so resilient?
Yeah, so I started on this journey. I did 11 years of lab work, invented an FDA-approved wound healing drug. I was on different drug companies over the years with doing drug development, and I basically am a clinician also. So when the whole COVID crisis occurred, I was really shocked that they were saying not to do anything except wait for a vaccine. And I thought, it's like how we treat hypertension. We actually don't cure the disease, but we mitigate damage. And I thought, we ought to be, and I was working with a team that I had worked with many years in the medical center there. We got together to start thinking about this COVID crisis. And right away we were saying, hey, this is inflammatory. We've got lots of drugs, the steroids. These respiratory viruses are replication competent, 5, 6, 7 days max. Then you use steroids to help decrease the inflammation. We have antithrombotics, lots of those on label. And we have things for breathing issues, all the asthma drugs. I thought that, even if we can't cure it, we could mitigate damage. And then I kind of did a deep dive, and literally I had a little bit extra time from surgery one day, and I came back to my, I went that afternoon. I said, hey, I'm going to go end this pandemic. And I was half kidding, but half serious. And I came back after lunch. I was so excited because I was like, guys, there's like 9 things that I found: protease inhibitors, nucleoside analogs, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, fenofibrate, colchicine, cyclosporin, just 1 or 2 others. Bottom line, I said, there's a lot of things we can attack the virus with besides mitigating damage. And at that time, I thought, hey, this is not going to be that hard. I ended up speaking out to someone in Thailand who knew Luc Montagnier, and then I ended up speaking to somebody who knew Didier Raoult, and we had a conversation. He'd used hydroxychloroquine as erythromycin. I treated my first patient March 12th, and it was a colleague of mine, close colleague. Stats were in the 70s. He was day 8, and I said, hey, you need steroids. Let's do the azithromycin, the hydroxychloroquine, vitamin D, and aspirin. And I said, let's try that out. And he looked at me and says, are you trying to kill me? I said, what? I go, you called me for a reason, right? So this is what we need to do. It's a respiratory virus. He goes, but it's this novel virus. And I said, it's absurd. It's a respiratory virus. It's replication competent for a few days, and we're just going to treat it with the inflammatory stage with the steroids. And I thought everybody was going to do that. I thought it was like normal, and then add the other things in. And he was basically about 4 hours later called me back and said, hey, I'm a lot better. Appreciate it. I'm close to his wife, his kids. And basically the whole family was sick. They were all they were better. He was better in about 3 days. Bottom line, I knew right away that I was on the right path. And so I said, let me get the word out, got excited, and then got attacked, sent to the board. All these things happened. And in one fell swoop, I was so excited, feeling like, wow, the whole world's coming against me. And I got scared, and I'd say that lasted for about a day or so before I was like you said before, you're talking about resiliency. I think there's reasons why you can be resilient, especially in you're in an area of expertise. It really wasn't that hard. Plus, my other choices were go fishing and ignore the fact that we were being invaded by outer space Martians, and nobody else could see it, but I could see that it was a farce. And I thought at the time, I can't even ignore this, because if I do, I'm a coward. And so at the end of the day, I just said, I got to get bigger or smaller. I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to the White House. And that's what happened, basically. Simone Gold and I became friends in May. Her and I, Joe Latipo, Taryn Clark, and Bob Hamilton went to the White House. I mean, we went to the Congress, spoke on C-SPAN about school openings, and that kicked off America's Frontline Doctors. Simone was the leader there. I was probably her second in command because that's just natural for me. I have a big organization. I know how to run them. So anyway, I think that started it off. And then here I am.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, wow. Amazing story. Thank you so much for speaking up, for taking a stand, and for, encouraging many other doctors throughout the world. So that's amazing. And so from the point of what makes you resilient, so it is this, that you could see there was something going wrong and you needed to speak up. And when you think of personal reasons, what is it, why you're fighting for this, or why you are creating a better world, with so many colleagues around the world? Why do you see the use that we need to do this?
I think sometimes you need to be in the right place at the right time, right? I knew what I was saying was true. So I didn't have the fear of maybe I don't know. I think a lot of people who didn't do a lot of science, maybe they didn't know for sure. This novel virus, that whole thing novel even fooled me too. So in fairness to everyone, I had a special expertise that allowed me to know for sure that I was on the right path. And so that's part of the reason I was able to sort of start speaking out. If I didn't have that knowledge, I don't know that I would have been as bold, So I think the other thing was I got massively attacked, and so I either had to manage the fear, and I either had to tuck my tail and run, or basically there's no choice. At some point, it's too big. You either got to get bigger or smaller, and that actually was just a tactical decision. Managing the fear was not easy because they basically said they were going to take away my license, which means that I basically take away my way to earn a living, but all my bills are paid. So that allowed me, as opposed to some younger doctors, 74% in the United States who work for someone and probably would get fired almost immediately had they not played ball. And it was very fearful. I mean, they actually even told us that if we wore a mask and there was a shortfall of masks, that we, in our clinics, wearing a mask would actually be maybe criminally liable for interfering with a public health emergency. So that actually created a lot of stress for a lot of docs who actually thought masks work. Because I worked in a virus lab, I knew that wearing a mask was like wearing 2 bathing suits in the pool and saying that I'm peeing, but it's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's safe.
Great.
You can drink the water.
I know.
So,
it's a great comparison. Yeah.
And so I think the other things are, I grew up in a family that basically always said, and my kids have been taught this, hey, you got to think for yourself. Don't come home and tell me that you jumped off the bridge because your friend jumped off the bridge.
Yes.
You always think for yourself. And so don't ever want you to tell, you don't have to agree with me. You have to respect me, but you don't have to agree with me. But don't tell me you're not thinking for yourself. You need to think for yourself. That was drilled into me from a young age.
Yes.
By my father primarily, but the whole family was like that. And I think the other thing is a family with strong faith. And so there's always the saying of, we don't kneel before man, we'll kneel before God. And that was sort of in the back of my mind. And I'd say that creates some resiliency because you're going to have many setbacks in some way, somehow you think, it's okay. I think that was a very important part of it. And belief, again, raised on a belief that you can do anything you put your mind to. You got to work hard for it. You got to plan well. But even if you fail, well, first of all, you can be proud of yourself if you fail, if you did everything else right.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if somebody tells you can't do something, they're talking about themselves. They're not talking about you.
Absolutely.
They're talking about themselves. And you have belief, and you have preparation, and you have the willpower and the determination. The resiliency comes from all of those massive determination, all those belief in yourself, all that managing the little bit of fear. Because if you don't have fear, something's wrong with you. I can promise you that I had many fearful times. I still have them. it's not unusual for me. I have colleagues that have been FBI come to their house even in the last month. So I won't be surprised for that knock on the door, and I fear it actually. So I mean, so I'm hoping that I continue to have protection somehow, and but if not, you know, I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing the best of my ability.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so brave. And you know, I know that American Frontline Doctors and also Peter McCullough, if it was on Del Bigtree's The High Wire, this is where I was getting a lot of knowledge from. And you know, the FDA was always up front of the EMA, the European Medicine Agency. And so I would already have content from all these great doctors that I could bring forward to my doctors group in Austria. And I say, hey, listen, you know, Peter McCullough and Simone Gold and the others, they just said, and I could deliver the message. And it was so important for me to know that you guys were out there. Even though you didn't know me, I heard from you, from your group. But it's so important, and it's the same with me. I was just brave because I had all that information, and I knew that sums up. I have the data here, the data that was available already that time, of course, and I knew I can say that on Rally Stage. I can say that, you know.
Yes.
And even they, you know, tried to sue me from the medical board side, you know, but you know they couldn't do anything about it. Yeah.
So I think it speaks to who you are. You know, in a sense, who you are. I mean, I know that it's not what we are, it's who we are. It's who we are is making the difference. And we are dedicated to being great physicians. And it's nice to know others are out there. You sent chills down my spine twice when you said a couple things. And to me, it's like one of those situations where we're reaching out, we're colleagues, and once we know the others are there, we power up, and we live off of that power of knowing others like us or like-minded are out there fighting, and that makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
And so for everyone who is fighting, that is what makes us stronger. It's not us. I'm not brave. I'm not brave. I'm not brave. I was just felt like I had to do it. I don't feel brave.
Standing
I
for
wish,
you.
I could
think
say
it's right. Yeah.
I've done some stuff where you know, as a kid, where you're like, I'm jumping off of this, and I was seriously, that was pretty brave. I'm surprised I did it, but this isn't bravery. It was not bravery. It was just something that had to be done because we are physicians called who we are to take care of patients, to be patient advocates, to make sure that we're doing the right thing and caring for them and with all our hearts and souls. And so this is why we're here, you know, not because of any pats on the back or bravery. It's because there's so many of us who know the right way, and thankfully we're finding each other, and we have our lawyers are doing this, very few at first, but they're doing that, and they're getting attacked and losing their jobs. Nurses are getting attacked and losing their jobs easier than us. We can find jobs easier than them, and they've been viciously attacked for not getting a vaccine, never mind. It's so crazy, and that takes its own set of bravery and, in a sense, resiliency, because they know it's going to be a setback. They know right then what the consequences are. They're going to lose their job. They're going to have a hard time paying their bills. The kids are not going to be able to do as much, and that's a resiliency and bravery that's bigger than mine. And so all the people out there that are facing these things, who have taken the vaccine, for instance, unwillingly, can be okay. I hug you, I pat you on the shoulders and say, it's okay, you know, look. But they're coming after us. They're coming after our food. They're coming after the unprovoked war with Ukraine, the man-made climate change. These are scenarios. They're making up the novel coronavirus. All viruses are novel, as you know. The novel influenza virus for this year is different than any other one from the past. Novel is a word that was used to create social fear and to control us.
Absolutely.
And they're going to keep doing it. This is not going to stop.
Right.
So
that's why it's so important that, you know, we know that we found each other throughout the world, you know, and we have this Better Way conference going on with these brave free journalists and doctors, scientists, lawyers, and activists, and the people on the streets, which will be marching with us tomorrow in the city of Vienna. So I can't wait for that, and just say thank you again for being here in Vienna and for all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and inviting me and having the great hospitality. I'm having a great time eating the food here.
It's organic, by the way. It's by farmers' friends from mine, because I like it so good to have brave people also in this field, because they get attacked by probably, you know, other farmers that are not doing it this way. And it's important to have people that, you know how to do good work in all the professions that we have out there.
Absolutely, and I want to just say thank you to everyone here, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I still have to make it to the opera house. My daughter is a composer, and
oh, great.
she's like, you have to go to the opera. And I said,
yes,
okay.
We will make that.
Yeah.
Super. So, thanks for watching, and please join us next week, Friday, 8:15 p.m. CET Vienna time. See you then. Thank you.